You guys loved when I ranked every song, you guys loved when I ranked every episode, so now I am ranking every character in Steven Universe. And in case you are wondering how many characters there are in Steven Universe, don't worry, I did the math. So according to my calculations, there are about 72 characters in Steven Universe. And if I missed somebody, I'm sorry, let me know in the comments. I just didn't add characters like Townie number 3 because if I were to rank him, he would be an S tier, obviously. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into ranking every Steven Universe character. But you know, I'm feeling rambunctious today, okay? I'm feeling a bit mischievous. Today we're gonna start a little bit differently. We're gonna first start with the S tier characters and then make our way down to the F tier characters, or the worst characters. Because let's be honest, I don't think any of you will be surprised that Peridot is an S tier by the end of the video. I mean, come on, it's Peridot. With all that being said, let's get into the F. Now, as always, remember, this is my list. If I diss on your favorite character, you can go ahead and debate about it in the comments. You know, if there's an Andy DeMayo stan out there that I piss off, I'm sorry, okay? Okay, so starting off with my most favorite character in Steven Universe, is gonna be really boring, but it's Steven Universe. This is a pretty obvious yet boring choice, I know. But we get to see his progression throughout the entire franchise. I mean, it is his franchise. From being an annoying kid to being the backbone of the Crystal Gems, all the way up to Future where we see him struggle with trauma. I root for him and I want to see this character grow. And yes, I know he's the cookie cutter choice, but come on, it's, you know, I love this little goober, okay? I can't help it. So next, this was actually a pretty hard toss-up, but we have Pearl. Pearl's journey is probably my favorite in the whole show. I mean, Rose's Scabbard is my favorite episode of Steven Universe in general. You know, she started out as this codependent servant to Rose, completely overtaken by her trauma, to this self-assured, confident guardian to Steven, who is also just absolutely drowning in pussy. I mean, look at how many phone numbers she has. In all honesty, Pearl reminds me kind of my mom. Not the drowning in pussy part. You know, she's an anxious person that has been through a lot, but is still one of the strongest people I know. Thanks, Mom. Love you, Mom. And seeing Pearl's progression throughout the story is just so sweet. I mean, watching her even take a little nibble of food is something worth celebrating. Okay, so up next is the redemption arc of Steven Universe, Peridot. When we're first introduced to her, we're terrified. She was introduced as this cold, modern-day gem with technology we or the gems have never seen before. I mean, at what point in the show have you ever seen the Crystal Gems just shaking in their boots like this?
Steven, the truth is, we're scared.
If I was Steven, I would be shaking right now. And once we finally defeat Peridot in a not-so-heroic way, we're then revealed that this new technology is not a part of her, but rather an extension of her. And now this tiny, defenseless gem is thrown onto an unknown planet where she is forced to experience life, and pain, and friendships, and murder. Something she's never seen before. And then right when we see all this growth, we're thrown into thinking that she's just evil again, just to see her portray like her god of a boss. I think this is just a really well-made arc and one of the high points of Steven Universe, with a very satisfying conclusion of Peridot becoming a crystal gem. Okay, up next we got you know what? Let me just show you. Yeah. Lapis Lazuli, baby. For the people who don't like Lapis, you just don't understand her as a character, okay? Now, I know, Lapis has made a few controversial decisions throughout the series, like refusing to fight Homeworld and, you know, taking the barn and leaving Peridot to be depressed. But guys, let me just put something into perspective real quick. Imagine for thousands of years, you work for a tyrant that makes you terraform planets, and then a whole ass war breaks out and you get stuck in a mirror for another thousands of years. And then as soon as you get out, you get trapped into a metaphorically toxic relationship, but physically you're stuck in a giant hideous ass monster at the bottom of the ocean. And then only a couple months after this, the tyrants that basically started this whole thing is coming to your exact location. Yeah, I would run too. In conclusion, Lapis is awesome, and I really like her. At the beginning of the series, I really did not like Amethyst. I thought she was annoying and mean and also kind of evil. But season 1, episode 40, titled On the Run, instantly changed everything for me about this character. Her past was ugly, it was clouded. I guess you could say it was pretty rocky. Seeing her grow from an insecure, flawed gem to one of the most mature is so beautiful. You think, you know what? Good for her, man. So I made a whole video talking about Rose's character. Check it out if you haven't. So I'll just be brief about this one. I think the fact that people are still arguing about whether or not Rose is a good person means that the writers succeeded with her character. You're not supposed to know if she's good or bad. You're supposed to have mixed feelings, you know? You're supposed to despise her sometimes and then understand her other times. That is the point of her character, and I think that is super cool. So Lars is the first full human on this list, and I wholeheartedly believe he deserves that role. Lars and the Cool Kids is one of my most favorite episodes of the whole series, almost solely for this moment.
I knew if something went wrong today, it would be because of you. Now I'm never going to be friends with these guys, all because of your weird mom.
What do you know about my mom? I didn't even get to know my mom!
This is one of the most real scenes we've seen up to this point, just full of complex and raw emotions. For one of the first times, we see Steven truly get enraged, and deservingly so. You know, this guy's an asshole. But to see where these two's relationship started from and where it ended by the end of the series was very satisfying to watch. Now, many people may think it's a surprise that Blue Zircon would be as high as she is on this list, but let me tell you, she is the GOAT of Steven Universe. I mean, have you ever seen a lawyer convince one of the judges that they could have killed Rose? And she was actually right! We also see that she's running for president in Steven Universe future. Like, what can't she do? She's got my vote. And for our last S tier ranking, we have Lion. Now, Lion is up here for several reasons, but the main one is that I really like cats. Okay. So the first person in A tier is Sadie, and I think she definitely deserves this ranking. Not only is her growth as satisfying as Lars's, but she also gets way more screen time. Sadie genuinely seems like a real person. Whether it was her relationship with her mom, her horror movie collection, or just her vulnerability, Sadie was always such an interesting character to see on screen. However, right after the peak of her character arc, it starts to go downhill. I just am not that interested in Sadie and the Cool Kids' band arc. Now, of course, in hindsight, the creators thought they had way more time to tell the story they were trying to tell, but this arc came in at one of the worst times of the show. As soon as Lars is trapped in space, do we get to see Sadie blossom, which makes sense. But there is a cool-ass space story we're missing, and we really never get to see it. I mean, imagine how cool it would have been to see Lars steal Emerald's ship, and we finally get to see his character arc realized as he's wholeheartedly acting selfless. It's just, if we had more time for both of these characters to shine, it would be great. But unfortunately, Sadie's just takes up too much time to where it pushes out Lars's story, which makes it just a little less satisfying for me. However, Disobedient absolutely slaps. Okay, so to be brief, Connie is overall just a very well-written character. Her relationship with her mom is really cute to watch grow, but sometimes I feel like Connie was just used as a vessel, like, for the writers to tell the theme of the episode.
My mom back on Earth used to have so many rules for me to follow. It was so overwhelming, and it made me feel miserable. After I told her how I was feeling, things got way better between us. She even let me come out to space to help Steven.
Brother, these are aliens. They don't know what the fuck a mom is.
Like, I get it, it's a kid's show, but goddamn does that make me laugh. But other than that, I love Connie. Garnet is overall a very well-written character. Her relationship with Steven grew in the background of the show, which makes it all the more natural. And her reveal of being a fusion at the end of season 1 is what got most people into the show. But after this, I feel she gets a bit sidelined with Amethyst and Pearl. I mean, it makes sense. Her arc is kind of done here, which I know I just said it was cool for Garnet to grow in the background, but the charm of season 1 was having this mystery around Garnet. And after learning it, she's just a good character that doesn't have a lot to do. She doesn't have a lot left to say in the story. And that's not a bad thing. It's good when writers recognize the end of an arc. But it means the other characters' stories just gripped me more. Spinel is another character that just shined when she was first introduced, but she was sidelined so hard afterwards. I mean, yeah, it makes sense. Her arc was basically finished by the end of the movie, and I really enjoyed her story. I feel for her and want her to get better. You know, I root for her. But after that, in future, I'm just like, oh yeah, Spinel's here. Alright, up next we have Pumpkin. I had a cat named Pumpkin, and that is why I like him. I love how sassy Yellow Pearl is when we first meet her, and it's subtle, but it's really sweet how she followed her pursuit of modeling in future. Oh, you didn't know Yellow Pearl wanted to be a model? Let me tell you, you're not even a real Steven Universe fan, bud. Now, don't worry, at the end of this list, I will rank all of the rubies, but for now, this is where I have Sapphire's Ruby. Now, the reason why I picked Ruby over Sapphire is because I think I'm more like Ruby, honestly, and that makes me like her more. You know, I'm hot-headed, I'm angry, I can catch things on fire! I just love to hate on Kevin. And yeah, a lot of people hate him, but dude, he is probably the funniest character in Steven Universe.
That's 2 kids. I'm out.
So for the first one in B tier, we got Jasper. Jasper has a special place in my heart, which is why I think she deserves a top spot in B. The way she was introduced like Peridot was absolutely terrifying. Like, if your most powerful leader is staring at you like this, yeah, you're done. But in future, after she was, you know, killed by Steven, she kind of doesn't have an ending, which is okay in some cases. You know, Steven's story doesn't have an ending in future. It ends with him driving off to start a new life, like it's the beginning of a new story. But his conclusion was satisfying, and Jasper's really wasn't. The last time we see Jasper, she doesn't really grow or change. She's still obsessed with Steven because, you know, he killed her. It'd be satisfying if we saw a good conclusion with her and Amethyst or something along those lines. Next up, we got Sapphire. And listen, I love Sapphire, but her wife is just a little bit better, okay? That's honestly all I have. She's a good character. She complements Ruby really well, and I enjoy seeing her on screen. Savani is my favorite fusion other than Garnet, of course. I've said this before, but I think Mindful Education is the perfect episode to show somebody who has never seen Steven Universe. I mean, you got trauma, funny moments, cool animation, fusion, and of course, great music. I love Stevani as a symbol of unity for, you know, Steven and Connie. Every time they're on screen, I want more of them. I love Greg, but his character almost was ruined in House Guest. Although he wasn't perfect, he was overall a good father for Steven. And I love how in-depth they get with Steven and Greg's relationship in future. But in House Guest, Greg is just a liar for no reason. He lies about his leg being healed by Steven ruining his powers for a bit just so he can spend time with him. Like, bro, especially at this time, Steven is left alone all the time. And you live in a van, you could just drive up on the beach and go see him. Damn, man, that episode pisses me off. Honestly, I bet you guys didn't expect her to be this high, but I think Nanaflaw is a good character. You know, her character has some great moments. Like, they did not need to go this hard on this shot. Like, there was no reason for that. Jenny is another member of the cool kids that really are just likable. And Jenny especially shines in Joyride. I mean, she literally almost got herself killed for Steven. That is a goat of a character. Alright, so up next, I'm gonna have a little tiny little Steven Universe Crystal Gem fusion tier list here. First, we got Opal. This is the fusion between Amethyst and Pearl. And I like her voice, I like her style, I like her meaning. Just, you know, a good character. Not a lot to say. So next I got Sardonyx, and some of you may be saying, Jord, you're really ranking Nanaflaw over Opal and Sardonyx? Well, yes I am, dear viewer, and let me explain. It's not that I enjoy seeing Nanaflaw on screen more, it's just that she's more of an actual character. Fusions are symbolic of two characters and their relationship, and Sardonyx did a great job at that. Other than all the meta fourth wall Deadpool shit that she does. Like, why do all of Garnet's fusions get stuck with that? But overall, especially when Sardonyx was first introduced, I think she's a good writing device for some serious themes between Pearl and Garnet. Unlike the other fusions, Sugilite was used as a way to make a character other than the two fused shine. Instead of having it be about Garnet and Amethyst, it's more about Pearl. And Sugilite is great for that. But I also just love her personality too, and it's great that she's voiced by Nicki Minaj. So after her first introduction, Alexandrite is kind of just not a character, which isn't a bad thing. A character doesn't need a ton of depth to be good, you know? But it just means there's not a lot of talk about her, except it is funny when they chase Connie and Steven. Similar to the other fusions, we don't really see Rainbow Quartz as a character, but more as a form of expression. In this case, it's jealousy with Pearl and Rose and Greg and all that, and she did a good job with that. Now, right under Rainbow Quartz, we have Rainbow Quartz. Again, I think Rainbow Quartz 2.0 is definitely more of a character than Rainbow Quartz. But guys, I hate that stupid pickup song so much. It's constantly stuck in my head. Just get it out. Just get it out. Just get it out. Just get it out. In most cases, I feel like Jenny outshines Kiki as a character. But that doesn't mean I don't like Kiki. I love her character. She especially shines in Kiki's pizza delivery service. That animation is so clean. Like, again, why do they go so hard on the pizza family shots? I explained this with Connie's ranking, but I love Mrs. Maheshwaran's relationship with her daughter. Seeing it grow throughout the show is just amazing. Sour Cream is the SoundCloud rapper of Beach City, and I love that for him. Between Aquamarine and Topaz, I love the way they use Topaz. Again, they set her up as this terrifying homeworld gem, just like how they've done plenty of times before. And just like every other terrifying homeworld gem we've seen, Steven of course persuades her to the point of tears. And we as a viewer are like, okay, here we go again. Steven's talking his way through this. But then it's like, no. She reverts back, and Steven and Lars can't escape that way. I think that's a really good use of subverting expectations. You know, setting up something that we've seen so many times and it actually not working. It really makes us feel like Steven is at the end of his ropes here. Okay, up next we got Jamie, and all I put in the script for Jamie is, he is awesome. So, up next we have the best Fryman family member, and that is Petey. I love that he suffers with like mid-50s depression at the age of 12. I mean, this guy really just complained about capitalism for an entire episode and then became a background character. And right under Petey, I got Paparacha or whatever. She can see events that occurred slightly in the past, and that's actually more useful than you think.
I predict you're going to make everyone uncomfortable.
And she's also really funny, which is why I like her. Next I have Rhodonite, and I just really love this fusion. I would have loved to see a whole episode about how this Pearl and Ruby fell in love. Obsidian is a really cool embodiment of the crystal gems. And again, I know the original ending of the show was rushed, but it would have been really cool to see more of her. It's also super cool that she is the temple. Like, that's just a statue of her. It's one of those details that you could completely miss, and when you see it, you feel so rewarded that you put it together. All right, next I got Blue Pearl. She's not as good as Yellow Pearl, but I hope her art career goes far.
I like to draw. What?
Oh, you didn't know Blue Pearl wanted to be an artist? Are you really a Steven Universe fan, bud? And right under Blue Pearl, I got Aquamarine. And then all I put in the script is that she's British. So, I guess we're moving on to... And at the top of C tier, and also my favorite diamond, we got Blue Diamond. Now, I have all 3 diamonds just kind of packed together here in C tier, because yeah, I know their original ending was rushed, so we couldn't really explore their characters as much, but I think Blue Diamond has the most depth out of all of them. First of all, her actor just does an amazing job.
You cannot fathom how much I've mourned. What thousands of years of grief has done to me!
But I also just love how interesting her and Pink's relationship was. You know, she loved her, but she also locked her away for like years in a tower, which is kind of messed up. Next we got Yellow Diamond. Now, being the first diamond introduced, Yellow Diamond holds a special place in my heart. She is also so intimidating. I thought she actually killed Steven here. Next we got White Diamond, which some of you might be mad that she's F tier because, you know, she is pretty evil. And yes, guys, I know she killed millions of organisms or whatever and almost killed Steven, but she's low-key really funny.
Because judging anything based on appearance is wrong.
Yeah, I don't know about this.
Volleyball is another interesting character, especially the fact that Pink Diamond like permanently damaged her. I enjoyed her in future, and I like the fact that they kept whether or not her eye healed ambiguous. You know what Mr. Smiley is? Mr. Smiley is just a good background character. He's funny, he's likable, and even though I think Mr. Frowny is really annoying, Mr. Smiley puts a smile on my face. And if you wonder why Mr. Frowny isn't on this list, it's because I hate him. Everyone loves to hate on Ronaldo. And yes, some episodes he's in do kind of suck. But let's be real, most Steven Universe fans are this guy. I mean, I'm basically Ronaldo. If you hear anyone say that they hate Ronaldo, they're projecting. We are all Ronaldo. I always forget that Marty just makes Greg rich randomly in the show, but it's really cool we get to see some implied storytelling with him and Vidalia. The fact that Marty is Sour Cream's dad, and we barely touch up on it until this episode, I don't know, it just makes Steven Universe feel more intricate and alive. Like, you could put those two things together before this episode, which is just really rewarding. Alright, next up we got Bucky, and he's chill, but every time I rewatch Steven Universe, I skip Shirt Club. I don't know, man, and Bucky, you know what, Bucky's okay. Okay, he's okay. Okay, next we got the Rutile twins, and I like them. You know, they're chill. Kind of all I got. Vidalia and Amethyst's relationship is so cool to see re-spark in the show, and I really enjoy whenever she's on screen. However, she did give birth to Onion, which puts her down a few notches. I hate that little shit. Honestly, Mayor Dewey is one of the funniest characters in the show. I love the bit where he's just in love with Pearl.
Hello there, young universe. Any of your sisters home?
My sisters?
Your caretakers, you know? The tall one, the purple one, the hot one.
And at the bottom of C tier, we have Holly Blue Agate. She is racist to amethysts. Alright, so at the top of D tier, we got Malachite. Malachite is a really cool idea that was just kind of a letdown. This had so much hype at the time. Like, I remember being ecstatic that we were finally going to get to see the Gems versus Malachite. And then it happens really quickly, and Jasper just falls in the ocean. Like, are you kidding me? Unlike the Peridot redemption arc, I think this story could have been written a little bit better. For example, dive more into Jasper and Lapis's relationship. Like, imagine how cool it would have been if we see them unfuse and fuse as they're fighting each other while fighting the gems. Because think about it, these are the two most powerful gems probably other than the diamonds. They could easily be fighting each other with all their strength and take on the crystal gems. I mean, hell, Lapis herself could probably do that. Listen, put me on the riding team, Rebecca, okay? I got the chops. Next up, we got Andy DeMayo. He's racist. So now we have Sadie's mom. I don't really remember a lot from her other than she wears a knee brace and she pokes Sadie in the eye. You know, not that cool, man. Not that cool. Other than that, she's pretty chill. Not gonna lie, I don't know why I put her below Andy. Mr. Maheshwaran is just like an okay dude. Like, the worst thing we see him struggle with is the fact that he's a boring security guard. Like, his wife is a cool-ass doctor and his daughter is a cool-ass sword fighter. And it's like, yeah, I mean, you're kind of boring compared to them, okay? Let your wife and daughter have the limelight, okay, buddy? I do not really care what you gotta say. Now we have Yellowtail, and he talks like this. And I think that's awesome. So some of you guys might be mad that Smoky Quartz is this far down, but it just bugs me how she was introduced. Like, this emotional interaction between Amethyst and Steven was so powerful, but it was just ruined by this stupid yo-yo scene. Like, this is so cartoony. You could have had a cool-ass, like, fight scene, man. It just didn't fit this episode tonally. Okay, let's be real. Who's like Mr. Fryman is my favorite character? Yeah, exactly, no one. I have Fluorite down here because they just remind me of the sloth from Zootopia. Like, bro, just get on with it. Now, Lars's parents is actually an interesting case. This could have been such a heart-gripping set of characters. Imagine we get to see these two struggle with the grief and the trauma of losing their son. And how Lars has to rebuild a relationship with them with who he is now. And sure, it's later implied that they're hurt, but for the most time, the loss of their son is treated like a comedic joke. It literally boils down to them being comedic tomato throwers. So Sunstone is my least ranked fusion on this list, and I don't know, man, Sunstone was just a letdown to me. I imagine like a strong, authoritative type of fusion between Garnet and Steven. Like, they're literally the leader of the Crystal Gems. I didn't expect them just to start skateboarding. I thought it was gonna lean into a more mature side, which I think would have been way better for the characters. And at the bottom of D tier, we have the worst pizza family member, and that is Kofi. You're just rude, man. You're just a dick. Why you gotta ban Steven from your restaurant forever? Let my man eat some pizza. And your pizza doesn't even look good. That looks like garbage. And you don't even got a cool shot like your daughter and your wife. Screw you, man. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to the last tier, which is the... So surprisingly, because I love this show, we only got a couple of characters in the F tier. And the first F tier member is... Yellow Zircon. I hate this snobby little Zircon bitch so much. Zircon is obviously way better. Sometimes I like to rewatch her getting popped like a little bug just because it brings me so much enjoyment. Blue Zircon for life, baby. Okay, so the next character is my least favorite character in Steven Universe. And if you watch some of my videos, you definitely know who this is already. Drum roll, please. Onion. It's Onion. Fuck this little shit, okay? He is a brat. He steals Steven's chips. He steals Steven's toys. He puts rats in his mouth. Like, okay, bro, what do you want me to say? Cool? You're obviously just doing that for attention. You know that's gross. Onion is like that weird-ass neighbor kid that you knew growing up, that your mom always made you hang out with, even though you didn't want to hang out with them, because their mom is friends with your mom, and they're just really weird. And yeah, if you're my neighbor watching this, I'm sorry, I didn't mean any of that. Your mom was actually really cool. She cooked us pizza rolls, so... thank you for that. Anyway, that's why Onion is the worst character in Steven Universe. Like, fuck this little brat. And yeah, that's actually the list. Just kidding. You think I'd miss all the rubies? Next up, we got the Ruby ranking. Number 1, we got Ruby. Number 2, we got Ruby. Number 3, we got Ruby. Number 4, Ruby. Number 5 is Ruby. And last, but certainly not least, is Ruby. Okay, now I'm done with the list. Comment your thoughts below. Again, I'm sorry if I missed anybody, like Skinny Jasper. I mean, what do you want me to say about her? She has like one line, okay? But let me know in the comments, what's your favorite character? I really want to read about it. You know, I actually had a hard time describing what I really do on this channel, but I think I figured it out. I like to talk about things that I like, and I think you guys would like too. I love talking about media like Steven Universe, or things like even The Walking Dead. I mean, hell, I did a Mario Kart video before. So if you like me, you like my personality, feel free to check out those videos as well. New videos every other Saturday. Hopefully, I'm trying my hardest. But yeah, that's it. See ya, guys.
Oh shit, I forgot Bismuth.